Hello everyone, this is Joanna. Thank you so much for coming back. These are going to be your messages for the month of August. I am doing them very differently than I have done them up until this point, so they will resemble more of the mid-July reading, where most of my information will be channeled. I'm not using any traditional tarot cards. I'm using only one card from John Holland's deck and one card for food for thought from Colette Reed's. Everything else is this deck here, which I didn't study, so I just look at pictures and then I hear what I'm to say. Of course, for more long-term projections, there are a lot of videos that I published not that long ago. That information is down below. So there is a 6-month video for each sign on Vimeo from July until the end of the year, and of course there is the Uranus 7-year projection, which has a much longer projection to show you what to expect over the next 7 years. So that information is down below. Of course, these are general readings, so they will not apply to everybody. Listen to your other signs. These may offer you greater picture, and more than anything, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, for private sessions. That information is down below. Thank you so much once again. Please do comment. I love hearing your comments. And without further ado, let's start off with the readings. Hello, beautiful Aquarians. These are going to be your messages for the month of August 2018. This is the second time recording them. I am doing this while the retrograde has started, so maybe the energies are a little bit off. I have not prepped. I didn't meditate. I want to do this raw, so it's interesting to me. Let's see what's going to come out. Okay. Expression of self is very important and critical for some of you. When I say expression of self, this is referring to the way you express your individuality. And although this is a grand message that can apply to virtually any person, it is in fact a message that Spirit wants to give to you. Lacking self-confidence is no longer enough to be an excuse for not doing what you want. Interesting. So clearly some of you are being urged to pursue something that brings you joy and happiness. It could be something as small as choosing to volunteer once a week in an abused animal shelter, or it could be something quite substantial where you completely change the way you do things for a living and you change your career, and anywhere in between. The message here is to be very resolute about your concrete ideas. So if you've had ideas in the past about your future, what you would like to accomplish, what you would like to create for yourself, how much money you want to attract, if you've had that in your mind and you've been putting the effort to do it on the side, if you've been putting the effort off, if you have not been putting effort into it, it is now a time, and the time is very critical for some reason, for you to acknowledge this, that you've been procrastinating, but it's time to move on. So this is clearly going to mean something for some of you. It's going to mean nothing to potentially few. The reason why this message is being pushed forward, so to speak, is because many of you are about to open a certain door. This to me always represents a brand new journey. Now, this journey may be something you have created for yourself, or this journey may be something the universe creates for you. So it sounds like there either needs to be some decisions to be made, or some decisions will be made by a substantial number of you. I'm being shown the number 75, so that's 3/4 of the population, or who's listening. You will be choosing to move on. This, for some of you, may mean that you are leaving your old environment, whether it be your home, whether it be your hometown, whether it be your city, your place of work, your country, a situation, whatever it is, an addiction. You are moving on to something different. For some of you, you're closing your doors behind you. And what that means to me is that you are choosing to let go of the past, let go of the things and people that no longer serve you. Realize some things about yourself that you haven't done so before. In other words, reflect back, take that knowledge, take that wisdom, and put it to use in your future endeavors. So 9 is being shown to me. So either in September, for some of you, will be opening or walking through certain doors, or it also symbolizes letting go. This is a time of letting go. I was also shown many times while doing these messages that the month of August, particularly the month of August, energetically seems to be a little bit bumpy. Apparently it's because of all the planets, but I was told by Spirit that the energy may feel slightly anxious, sometimes even frightening, not because something bad is happening, but when things are happening fast and we don't know what the outcome is of the change, we often, are a little bit anxious. But the energy is all across the board. It's not just for you Aquarians. So I want to say hold on tight, because the ride may get a little bit bumpy in the month of August. And I actually listened to some astrologers, and that is apparently the case. So, but does that mean that something bad is going to happen? Not necessarily. As a matter of fact, most likely than not, that's not what's going to happen. But change is inevitable, and many of you will be unhooking yourself from something, whether by choice or by force, I don't know. But if there have been some things in your life that you have refused to let go of, knowing it's necessary, chances are over the next little while, particularly the last few months or so, things are going to start moving pretty fast. So it's time to clean up, so to speak, take an inventory of your life and ask yourself some pretty important yet simple questions, as like, what do I want from life now? What do I want for myself in the future? How do I want to feel in the future? What are some things or people in my life that are standing in the way of me feeling that way? So you get the idea. Take out the trash, and that's the metaphor, and leave it where it belongs, which is in, well, I guess in the garbage. So let's move on to there's something else I'm being asked to say. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so the message here is, when I talk about letting the past go, it doesn't mean you're forgetting your past or you are asked to forget your past. As a matter of fact, that would be not advisable. And I don't want to go into the details why. But what's being said here is let go of the past and forget the past are two different things. Forgetting the past is like trying to pretend tomorrow isn't going to happen. It's very hard. You can temporarily choose not to look at it, but it's always there. And in that case, it keeps you bound. Letting go of the past is choosing to look at your past through a different set of lenses. Draw some conclusion about you as an individual as a result of these circumstances in a positive way. Recognize some of those things and people in your life as a gift rather than a curse, and then choose to connect to it differently moving forward. So that was a message that was I was supposed to say. Now, the card that represents your theme for the month of August is actually quite beautiful, because you have justice. And this is all as the card here depicts about balance. This is spiritual, mental, psychological, physical, mental, I already said that, balance. This is about striking balance. This is about seeking balance. This is about, again, letting go of things that keep you unbalanced or chained into an unbalanced state. So this is the theme. If you have been feeling off of balance, you are being urged to ask yourself the reason why. Why am I feeling out of balance? And recognize some of the things that you are contributing to keep you unbalanced. And for some of you, you have been running off your feet forever. And it's time to stop and ask yourself the question, why? Why do I always run off my feet? Why am I always late? Why am I always in a hurry? Why am I always anxious? Because if we don't ask that question, we can't solve what causes our running off our feet. So very, very important. For those of you who are mentally stressed and you have been keeping at it for quite some time, you're being urged to change your ways. And they're saying here is it's a practice that takes, takes effort, it takes time, but I'm being connected to some of you, maybe even few people, where you are so logically inclined that some things that happen don't make sense, and because they don't make sense, you refuse to accept them as a fact. So very interesting. For some of you, because of your very constructively equipped mind, constructively? No. Very elaborate mind, you choose to ignore some things in order to delay something, and that is called denial. So if you've been in denial about something for quite some time, chances are the month of August is going to show you that as like a mirror effect that will be reflected onto you. Now, what you are letting go of the past, or what's in the past. You have the card homing beacon. So I didn't quite understand this card, and I made a point of not really studying them because I really want to go through with my intuition. So here's what I'm hearing. Some of you have felt lost. Have felt lost mentally and emotionally, hopefully not physically. And the feeling I have here is almost a feeling of desperation. There is this yearning for something better, but not being able to be that, and being very aware of the feeling of stuck. For some of you, this was a actual longing home, wanting to go back home, whether back home to your own country, whether back home, whatever back home means to you, whatever. Yeah, I'm just going to say back home. For some of you, I'm being asked to say you've been undergoing almost like a spiritual death, where part of you felt like it was dying. I'm literally supposed to say this, where part of you felt like was dying, and you were being stripped raw, and you were being stripped apart. And because of this, a lot of fears came up to the surface, and I'm getting chills all over the place. And it made you look at some things that you didn't want to look at. So that's interesting, because that's also a message for some of you for the month of August. Now, the other message is what you need to leave behind. And again, it's about it's a feeling of sickness of going home. It's really interesting. And that can also symbolize the yearning of feeling like you're home inside. So for those of you who have been struggling emotionally with your idea of who you are in life, this is what I see you've been going through. But because it's shown to me in a past position, or that's what I asked for, it is serving as a reminder to say that it is on its way out. In other words, whatever you've been feeling had its purpose and had its reason for being there, but that you're slowly moving out of that energy. The message I also have is open yourself to possibility rather than closing yourself off. For some of you, this is dealing with the idea that the feeling of stuckness or not feeling at home has fundamentally to do with how permanent you feel in your life. I don't understand what that means. Your safety and security about your own stability. Come again, please. I'm being told, help them understand that what they need to work on right now is their own sense of purpose. Every single individual is born into this world with a sense of becoming, whatever the becoming is for you. Your job right now, through these changes as they are occurring, is to recognize that within you and pursue it. So if you feel lack of safety and security in your world, and it is in you, and it has been reflected to you in your physical lifetime, you have the opportunity right now to ask yourself the questions: why do I always feel this way? Why have I always felt this way? And where is this coming from? Because there is an opportunity here to close doors on some pretty hefty garbage you've been carrying with you. And this is, to me, referring to your conditioning, your belief systems, and as a result, your companions, your relationships, and your work, and your life in general. Remember when I was saying earlier that many of you are choosing to walk through a certain door and close the door behind? I feel this is what it's connecting to. It's referring to letting go of things from the past, not by forgetting it, but by letting go how energetically you are connected to it. Sense of purpose, extremely important. So some of you have been struggling with recognizing what your sense of purpose is, or what is the purpose in your life. And for some of you, you will be recognizing this as the process continues from August on until next April. Why next April? Okay, well, next April. So that's in the past. Now, you have the message of observance, self-observance. This is about, as the card suggests, observing self. Observing self without the attachments to the labels. In other words, observing yourself without judgments, without the need to fix, without the need to punish, without finding faults. It's to observe yourself from a perspective that is neutral. And you'll be asking yourself the question, well, why do I need to do that? Because when you reflect upon yourself from that perspective, you can see much clearly who you really are. And in order for you to find your sense of purpose inside, you need to be reminded who you are inside. And I want to say the message simply here is, okay, let's go with it. Your essence is pure love. And if you're not feeling it in your life, it's because deep inside you do not know how to find it. And when we judge ourselves, when we misrepresent ourselves, when we beat ourselves up, when we don't have boundaries, when we abuse ourselves, when we close ourselves off, all these things is essence of rejecting self. When we reject the self, we cannot fully find that love inside. So for those of you who are seeking your purpose is to find your own happiness. And the more judgments you have about yourself, the less happiness will be available to you, because you will in fact deny it for yourself. Apologies for this. As you can see, the retrograde is playing a trick on me, so the camera just stops, it freezes. Okay, let's move on. Self-observance, I finished that point, so let's move on to the next card. You also have initiation and ceremony. So what this is saying to me is, and he's asking me to make the number, reference to the number 7 and 4. So I'm going to talk about the number as each individual number. 7 is the number of aha moments to me. So this is a number where a lot of conflicts inside of you will begin to make a lot of sense in a very short time. In other words, you will have moments of enlightenment, as if an internal light bulb going off. Number 4 is all about creating safety, stability, security, and strong foundation. So where you are heading into through self-observance, through finding your own purpose, through creating more balance, is in fact a place where you can feel more at home. When we feel out of sorts and when we feel trapped, we rarely find ourselves in a position of having many choices. So for those of you who do feel stuck, and for those of you who feel you have no other options, you're being asked to step back and ask yourself this one fundamental question. What do I want to feel right now? And it could be many things. It could be happy, it could be love, it could be rich, it could be whatever it is. But being very honest with yourself, because if you do not know what you are seeking, it is futile to go and find it. For when you do not know what you seek, how can you find it, right? So this eliminates a lot of confusions with regards to what do I do, what could I have to do, for those of you who are stuck. And that's why he's reminding me that at the beginning they talked about not enough confidence is no longer enough from pursuing what you want. Everybody deals with some level of low confidence. It's just, I believe it's a nature of human being. We come from a place where it's all one and we come into a separation. So that dichotomy will inherently make us feel to a certain degree not as worthy as we possibly can. I believe that's a human condition. Don't quote me on it. It's just what I'm feeling. Point here is, those of you who have been stuck for quite some time and you have been feeling off balance, or you have been feeling running off your feet, and you have been making excuses as to why I can't make any changes, this is not one of those times, because you are changing, you are shifting, and like I mentioned earlier, the energies that we are experiencing are fast and furious. So they move very quickly. Therefore, things and our focused attention crystallizes itself, as in, what's the word I want to use, please? Makes itself visible to us in real life very, very quickly. So in other words, the law of attraction component is working very fast right now and going forward. The card secrecy is also being shown. So this is all about, well, secrecy. What are some of the things that you hold secret for whatever reason? Do you use secrecy as a weapon in order to control others? Do you keep aspects of yourself secret because you believe that if people were to find out, you would be rejected? Whatever that is, and again, the idea of rejection coming forward and self-observance. The more honest we can be with ourselves and the more we can look at ourselves without judgment, the more we can become responsible for our future. Why? Because greater awareness of ourselves, especially aspects of us we are not proud of, because those aspects of us do contribute to our creation process. Once we can see things very clearly, it is much easier to go about creating our life. Why? Because if you're holding yourself back because you feel you are insecure, well, realize that you are insecure. Ask yourself, what am I insecure about? And if it is lack of confidence, work on creating more confidence about you. In other words, doesn't matter where you are, you can change to something different, providing, first and foremost, you are honest with yourself, number one, and then you decidedly choose to make a different choice going forward. And I can already hear some of you saying, I can't make any changes, I can't. Yes, you can. If you cannot physically change something in front of you right now, change the way you look at it, and therefore your connection to it will change. Therefore, you will not resist it. Perhaps you are in a relationship where you feel really stuck and you are notoriously unhappy and you just go on about life like a robot without emotions because you stuffed them for so long, you don't even know how you feel. So you may not be able to get out of that relationship tomorrow, but you are in fact able to ask yourself this question: what do I want from now, from my life? And is this what I'm getting now? And if it's not, why am I not getting it? How am I stopping myself from achieving it? And those are some of the questions that each of us can fundamentally ask ourselves in order to almost like a map out our journey. The more we know about ourselves, the more we know what works for us and what stops us from reaching our goals. Denying that aspect of us doesn't help. And that's why the card of justice or balance to me is being shown, because it's bringing things to a balance. When we see things clearly, or when we see things clearly, we become much more relaxed. When we're much more relaxed, we're not as rigid and tense with our energy, and we open up and we receive. When we're not relaxed, we are always on the lookout of something to happen. So I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but the secrecy is also coming up here. Also, if friends are asking you to keep a secret for them for whatever reason, and you feel it weighs a heavy burden on you, ask yourself, number one, why do I do it? And number two, perhaps change how you do things and allow yourself to say no, thank you. The message here is you do matter. So for some of you, you may feel like you don't matter, or you feel like your word doesn't matter, or you feel like your feelings don't matter, or you feel like what you have to say doesn't matter. If that's how you feel, then you have to find where this feeling is coming from, because I'll tell you one thing, you were not born that way. So the responsibility is on you. Now, food for thought. You have a leg up. So this is a couple of messages come with this. Be open to other people helping you, but also be open to receiving. If you have been asking for help from the universe, God, Buddha, whatever your name or theory is about it, but you've been like this and not accepting, then what's the universe to do? In other words, the universe does its part, but you have to do your part too. So if you're looking, for example, for a new job and you hate where you are, and that's just a drastic example to illustrate the point, and then somebody mentions a new opportunity open up and you would be great for it, and you say to yourself, well, I don't know if it's going to work out, well, it's a little bit more money, but well, and you just kind of poop it down, and then you stay where you are because it's comfortable. When that happens, then don't complain that you hate your job, because the universe just knocked on your door and said, listen, we have a job for you, take it, or at least do you want to take it? So the responsibility of you participating in this creation process is mandatory. Another message I hear is, don't be so brave that you pretend you don't need help. That's a mistake many people make, and the mistake is made for various reasons. Some mistakes like that are made because we don't believe we don't believe that our problems are big enough for people to help us, so we feel unworthy of attention, hence not receiving. Perhaps you were raised to be the tough person and you try to do everything by yourself because, well, that's what you were taught to do. But here's the problem. Eventually, something happens where you cannot do this by yourself. So don't be too proud asking for help. You're not too big to ask for help. The other part of the message is, if you are constantly on a beck and calling of people to be helpful, and that's what makes you run off your feet, you might want to ask yourself the question, why do I do it? And I'm not saying helping is don't help. That's actually furthest from what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: if you are running off your feet, and if you have no time to take care of your own emotional needs, and other people always come first, ask yourself this question: where have I learned this from? Because again, you were not born that way. And last but not least, you have never-ending story in protection. So this is about avoiding drama at all cost. Not only it is about avoiding drama of other people, but avoiding your own internal drama. Sometimes we feel stuck, and we feel stuck for a long time. And that's okay, because sometimes stuckness is required in order to fundamentally shift some perception about us and about life. Once we have enough of something, then the lesson is learned and we move on to the next phase. But being stuck in it and continually and perpetually keeping yourself there for no other reason other than just to be stuck. And why would a person do that? Because they would be afraid to make the wrong choice. What's another example? They would be afraid that if they make a choice and it doesn't work out, they're going to be blamed, or they're going to be told, there you go again. whatever reasons we give ourselves not to do certain things, this is not one of those times. So having that drama inside is not very helpful. Now remember, your message for August is one of balance. So it is important that you keep your mind and your emotion as balanced. This retrograde is going to kill me. So this is the 4th time my camera froze. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to say. If you have been protecting yourself from life, it's time to let that go. If you have been overprotecting other people because you're afraid that they're going to make failure, it's time to stop doing that. They need to learn how to do it alone. If you are protecting yourself from getting hurt, ask yourself, if you're not protecting yourself to the point that you actually keep the universe and its gifts away from you. Because when we close, when we're pained and when we're closed, we don't recognize that we're also closed the same way to receiving. So, and when we can't receive, well, the universe can be standing at your door and give you everything you want, but if you believe you can't receive it or you don't know how, then that's a bit of a problem. So how do you learn how to receive? You learn to do things that are fundamentally feel-good things for yourself. If you need to learn how to say no, and that feels good because finally you'll be able to have boundaries, do that. If it makes you feel fundamentally amazing about you to go boxing every other day, do that. Anything that fundamentally strengthens you inside and makes you feel like you matter, that's a #1 priority for you over the next month or so. And the words are dedication to self. So I want to leave you with this. My apologies about the camera freezing. I hope this makes sense, at least at the end of the month. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, for sharing, for personal sessions. Of course, that information is down below for you. Watch your other signs. They may also offer you much more clarity. And of course, this is a general reading, so it may not apply to all of you. Thank you so much once again. Have yourself a wonderful month of August, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.